just wanna go flex. So long I'm sleeping on my neck.
The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades. From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
I remember when Boris Johnson announced the first lockdown in March 2020, and I was sat there in my old university room, different to this one, and I was sat there with my boyfriend at the time, and we sat on the edge of the bed watching it off my phone, and we just looked at each other and just went, shit. It kind of acted as a catalyst of events in my life to happen that maybe wouldn't have happened if lockdown didn't exist or the pandemic didn't exist. Me and my boyfriend, we split up because of lockdown and the distance, and it was something that we weren't familiar with and we couldn't do anymore. So that happened, and then during the second lockdown, my nan passed away from cancer, and it was a battle of cancer that she had for years. But it was something that was really difficult because I couldn't see her as much as I wanted to see her. And that was something that I had to deal with, and I didn't deal with very well, and it was something that was very hurtful. And it caused a lot of inner conflict in me. And after this then, a couple of days before Christmas, my parents split up. And I think the lockdown gave my mum a lot of time to think about what had been going on and stuff like that. And they made the decision to split. And that was right before Christmas, a couple of days, right before my 21st birthday, which is the 27th of December. I had no sense of escapism. There was nowhere I could go because we were in a lockdown. We were still in a very strict lockdown where the tier systems existed. And I had nowhere to go. So I was always in this household having to deal with those emotions and not being able to escape from them. And then shortly after that, a couple of days after Christmas, my granddad went into hospital. My granddad, I refer to him as Papa because he's always been my Papa. And he got moved to a therapeutic centre where they do a lot of rehabilitation. And there he then caught COVID-19. And it was one of those periods of time where I didn't know how to feel. I was angry, I was sad, I was annoyed. And he's still in hospital today. And I haven't seen him since the 28th of December. And that wouldn't have been the case if this pandemic didn't exist. I would be able to go in and see him all the time. And that is something that I'm really struggling to deal with mentally because it's not fair. But the issue is that, like I said before, it's that nobody has an escapism. We don't have a sense of doing things that we love the most, which is why it's so hard. And Reading Festival and festivals in general, they are my escapism. They are how I get away from the realities of the world for a weekend, where I can forget what's going on in life and I can have some fun with some friends. But that's been taken away. And what do you do when that's taken away and you don't know when it's coming back? And the only thing that I can think to do is to try and bring those feelings and to bring Reading Festival home.
Reflecting on my own experiences during the pandemic, it made me realise how much I missed being able to escape. I've decided to embark on a journey. How do I bring Reading Festival home? I went on a hunt to speak to different people at festivals, starting with traders. Traders feed us, provide us with our favourite drinks, camping gear, and some incredibly wacky outfits. Buying from festival traders is an amazing way to support small or local businesses, something I always tried to do. I spoke to a trader from Shropshire who has worked at Reading, among other festivals. He started as a biker and realised that the need for army surplus gear was not only needed among other bikers, but at festivals too. He sells items that are sometimes not easy to get hold of and would mean the consumer would otherwise have to travel. He relies on income generated from the money he makes at festivals. I also got in contact with John Longbottom, music editor of Kerrang, co-founder of Signature Brew and a massive festival geek just like myself. He wrote a blog post, a love letter to music festivals, which I really resonated with.
That.
I've done them for 30 years now.
Wow, what festivals have you traded at then?
Glastonbury, Reading, used to do all the big bike shows, Boomtown. I saw loads and loads and loads. Not so much the small ones, but the big commercial ones.
So what is it you trade?
I do army surplus, camping gear, and just like fancy dressing up stuff when people are off their heads, just stupid things.
My relationship to festivals is kind of like threefold, where it's like there's me as like a music fan who's obviously kind of madly in love with just being at festivals, and it just, I don't know, it just kind of does something for me. Like it's just the best time of my life. And then there's also like me as, so I've worked for Kerrang for like, I think like 12 years now, you know, going to festivals, working as a music journalist.
Like, what do you think the likelihood of them going ahead is?
Wouldn't even like to guess. It's just so difficult. Like I really hope that they do.
Do you think you'll carry on once COVID is finished?
Oh God, yeah, that's what I've come back for.
Longer inside and so my sleep, my skin.
Speaking to John and hearing his passion reminded me of all the things I loved about festivals. One of my favourite parts, the process of getting ready. Getting ready for a festival can be a lengthy process. You're often sat there with a whirlwind of feelings: excitement, joy, nerves, suspense. For me, it can take hours upon hours finding the right makeup look, practicing it over and over again until it's done just perfectly.
Something great. My lungs will fill and then deflate. They fill with fire, exhale desire. I know it's dire, my time today.
When going to a festival such as Reading, where I know I probably won't be showering for 5 days, I always make sure I do a hairstyle I know will last, or I can cover it. Sat at our tent, my friends and I would often help each other out each day, so we were always looking as good as the day before. We would spend weeks or even months before the event planning and buying outfits, trying them on, sending them back and buying even more. Festivals are a great way where we can express ourselves. We wear things we couldn't wear on a day-to-day basis and spend a weekend being our true, authentic selves.
The mask, what is real? I can pull the steering wheel. I have these thoughts so often I ought to replace that slot with...
At the festival, the first thing we do is set up camp. It's almost a bonding moment as we throw bits around or get angry with each other when something isn't going quite right. To bring one of my favourite elements from Reading Festival home, I decided to put up the tent in the back garden. I used a tent I have used for festivals such as Reading, and as soon as I picked it up, I was hit with a wave of nostalgia.
Sit in silence.
Carrying the tent from the garage to the back garden was a completely different sensation than from the car to a festival field, but it will have to do. Putting up the tent at a festival was a group project, but as I do it here at home, it was a solo project until my housemate wanted to get involved. Having my housemate Maya help me put up the tent brought back so many good memories, with my friends and I were flailing about with gazebos. Even the worst memories like tents filling up with water on rainy days are good ones now. Whilst putting up the tent, I couldn't help but think back to the trader I spoke to, who sold army and camping surplus gear. Selling tents like this one I use is his livelihood, and the impact of the festival sector being cancelled is devastating. It's easy to think about how our summer has been affected and not even consider the wider issue. Traders have been losing money and are finding it harder to live. Brands like Signature Brew, who John Longbottom owns, have taken a tumble too. It needs to be recognised that such a variety of people have been affected, not just the people like me.
She had a face straight out of a magazine.
The last time I pitched this tent was Reading 2019, which was coming up to 2 years ago now. And it's weird because when you look at the tent then, you see an array of other tents and people, and you can hear the bass from the stages, you can hear music, you can hear people laughing, joking. You can hear, it's such a good vibe. And I look out now and I just see grass in my house. I can hear the cars from the main road because I live on a main road. It's a completely different vibe. But even setting up this tent, and it's been raining as I've been doing it, the smell you mean it smells like a festival, and there's like a couple of dead bugs in here, and it's so nostalgic. And I'm sat here kind of like in my festival gear just thinking, I really hope they go forward this year. And I think people don't quite understand like how important festivals are for some people. And even just doing this has put a massive smile on my face, because it's just brought back so many memories. It's brought back so many memories of me waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning, coming out of my tent and seeing my friends all come out, and we all look hanging and stuff. And it's just not like that now. And all it is now is just me sat in a tent in my back garden by myself. And I really hope they go ahead this year, so things can go back to normal and this tent doesn't have to just be stuck in my back garden, but can be put to proper use again.